Hello YouTube, Bane666 here. So today I have a very, very interesting discussion about feminism to play you from way back in 1993. And you're going to find it very interesting because a lot of the arguments we still hear today will be used in this discussion, although obviously things weren't anywhere near as bad back then. But before I play you the audio from this, like I said, very interesting discussion, I need to give you a little bit of a background on what it is, where it's from, and how I came across it. So, as you know, I took most of last year off because I needed a break and, the whole COVID thing and the state of the world. And during my time away from YouTube, one of the things I did was I bought a little tape deck which I could plug into my computer and transfer old audio tapes to digital. And I happened to have a box filled with audio tapes which I wanted to go through. Does everyone out there remember audio tapes and what a tape deck is? So, some of you younger viewers may not know what I'm talking about. But anyway, one of the tapes was from a discussion on the Party Show, and I'll get to what that is in a minute, concerning feminism from, as far as I can tell, January 1993. And I think that date's fairly accurate because on the next tape they were discussing the Use Your Illusion tour with Guns N' Roses, and they came to Melbourne in Feb 1993. So I think it was about 2 weeks before that, but give or take a week. This was almost 30 years ago, so that's as accurate as I can get. But anyway, I should tell you what the Party Show is. I think it started in 1985 or thereabouts. I didn't start listening till about 87. And it's a late night talkback show on a Melbourne radio station. It airs from midnight to 2 o'clock on Saturday nights. I haven't listened in probably a couple of decades, so I'm not sure if they're still doing talkback. But from around 85 till present day, it's a very long time to have a consistently running radio show, and is probably one of the longest running radio shows in Melbourne, I would say, possibly Australia. So how I started listening to the Party Show was MTV came to Australia. It was played late on Saturday nights for a couple of hours, and it was simulcast on a local radio station. So I would curl up in bed and watch it and listen to it on my Walkman. Does anyone remember what a Walkman is? I'm really showing my age this video, aren't I? But anyway, MTV played nothing but commercial crap, which I soon got very, very tired of. And one night I just turned the dial and discovered the Party Show, and the rest is history. So the Party Show's always been a very interesting mix of very serious discussions and not so serious discussions.
I like to spray people with my diarrhea.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Line 7.
Only Headley would say.
David.
And I think that mix works really well. Headley would have on a whole range of special guests. Sometimes he'd have politicians on. He had Jeff Kennett on numerous times. Now, those of you outside of Australia who don't know who Jeff Kennett is, he was Premier of Victoria. For those of you in America, it's kind of like governor, I guess. But yeah, Jeff Kennett went on numerous times before he became Premier. I don't think he ever went on after he became Premier, though. Headley would also have on numerous regular guests, which were just people he knew who would talk about, TV or psychiatry. For example, he had a regular guest on called Sigmund McZiff, who would often talk about his tartan scrotum warmer. Very, very fashionable, I believe. He would also have on a psychic on a regular basis. She was pretty ancient back in the late 80s, early 90s, so I imagine, how should I put it? I imagine she no longer needs a Ouija board to speak to the spirits, if you know what I mean. On a couple of shows, he had prostitutes in the studio, which were interesting shows. And occasionally, his guests wouldn't turn up for some reason. They would cancel at the last minute, and Headley would literally go out in the street and convince someone on the street just to come in and be the guest. Trust me, I've seen it.
Football here? Do you watch our football?
Footy? I like Collingwood.
Collingwood!
No, I support Richmond.
You support Richmond?
Yeah,
oh, that's too confusing.
I can't understand that. What makes sense more than you?
I'm Richmond. I'm me.
I'm Richmond.
And
Sorry. Richmond just wiping his pants. All right. Sorry, go. You can take another chair, Richmond. That one's a bit dirty. Hang on a second. We're going to wait. Richmond, sit on that chair, Richmond. That chair's wet. All your 20-cent pieces are falling off. Hang on. We've got a bit of... Hang on a second. Listen, 1 minute.
this is live in the studio.
Richmond just spilled something on himself and he's just cleaning it up.
And yes, I have met Headley on numerous occasions, although he is a very private man and somewhat of an enigma, so no one really knows a great deal about him. Although every time I've ever seen him, he's always worn this same jumper. I don't know if he's still wearing it. I don't know why he always wore it every show. I don't know if it was a good luck thing, or whether it was the only item of clothing he ever owned. I don't know. Maybe possibly both of those things. Who knows? But he is a bit of an enigma, a very interesting individual. And I knew that he had interviewed Frank Zappa in the 70s, but what I didn't know until I started putting this video together was that in 1984 he actually published a book, not only containing the interview with Frank Zappa, but also Iggy Pop, Ozzy Osbourne, and numerous others. So I'm now going to have to try to hunt down a second-hand copy of that book, I think. So as for this episode you're going to listen to, it's not complete, it's not the entire show, it's only parts of it that I recorded, and it's everything that I recorded. I don't know why I recorded these particular parts and not other particular parts. Come on, it was almost 30 years ago, give me a break. I've got a good memory, but not quite that good. And Headley had in a guest who was talking about advertising. And what had happened in the weeks before the show was there was an ad for a bra company, and a group of feminists had come along and vandalised the billboards for this ad. Once again, this is something, we've seen and heard of in recent times. It's nothing new, but it's interesting to listen to the arguments made from both sides way back in 1993. So, without any further delay, let's get into it.
Really disgusted with the discussion that you had about the feminist campaign against Billy billboards.
Yes.
I think that you are perpetuating violence against women by putting down that action. I also think that, you are upholding conservative line when you put down the brave decision that judge made, and that you are also really appalling in the fact that you tried to pretend that you are somehow feminist because your lady gives you the political correct line, and yet you are constantly putting down gendered language. You're, just making me really sick, actually.
Right, well, do you want to talk about that, or is that all we want to say?
Okay, well, let's discuss it point by point. Firstly, do you think whatever their beliefs are, do you think they have a right to damage and vandalise property?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Because that property is damaging to women. That property is encouraging men to be violent against women.
No. In their opinion it is, right?
No,
I can't see how a billboard can influence... If someone saw a woman cut in half in a billboard, obviously joke matter, but even if it was serious, if someone saw that on a billboard, do you think it's going to spur anyone to act violently against women?
I mean, everything everything in advertising is spurring violence against women. Why is there so much violence against women?
Well, can you please give me some other examples?
It's just constantly all around us.
Well, can I ask you this? Do you think that men, when they're portrayed in underwear ads or things like that,
I have not seen a billboard that has shown men being cut up in underwear. I have not seen anything of that like.
Cut her off there because
Why?
because she said the F word.
No,
so,
she didn't.
She did.
She
She did.
Okay.
Open up and say R. Triple R.
Leanne,
Yeah.
did you say the FIRT word? Did you?
Can I ask you a question, Leanne? What about Madonna, the sex book and all her videos and her films? What do you think? Do you think that what do you think of that in relationship to the Burley poster?
I actually totally disagree with Madonna's sex book. I think it's appalling, and I don't think that you can lump, just because she's a woman, because you made the point before about Elle magazines and Cleo's and how they're edited by women. I don't think that I can condone that anyway, but I am, you know, like, I'm not putting them on the same par, because, like, it just depends on the depiction of violence.
Okay, now the overriding question is, so let's say everything you say is correct, right? All these things are bad, Cleo's bad, the advertising billboards are bad, Madonna's book's bad. Do you ban them all?
I think that there needs to be just, like, total re-education.
Okay, but until that time, do you ban everything?
No, I wouldn't ban it. I'd just go around.
That's exactly the point. I mean, all these things may be bad, and in some people's eyes they are bad, in some people's eyes they aren't bad. I mean, I'd say 99% of men won't be spurred into violence against women as a result of that.
Incorrect there, actually.
Okay, well, whatever. But at the same time, we live in a free society where we have to allow all these expressions, right? Because
we don't have to.
No, we can object against them. I mean, what these women did, they objected against them, which is their right. You know, I don't know if they have a right to actually destroy them or vandalise them. They certainly have a right to.
Why not? Why not? That's a freedom of their expression.
Okay, well, it's against the law. What if I don't like Garuda Airlines because of what the Indonesians do to the Timorese?
Well, that would be a really politically sound point.
Okay,
I would be really surprised if you thought that.
Okay, now, do I have the right to vandalise a Garuda billboard?
Of course you do.
Do I have a right to throw a brick through a Garuda Airlines terminal window?
If you want to.
If I want to.
Exactly.
Okay, so what you're saying then is basically everyone can do anything they want to anyone that shits them.
No, well, not to anyone. To property, yes.
Okay, well, to the property of anyone that shits them.
Yeah, I don't condone violence against people, and that's why I'm making the point that these are violent against women and causing violence against women.
Well, can I ask you, do you think Gloria Marshall and Jenny Craig are as guilty?
Oh, look, I don't think they're on par at all. I really don't. I think that cutting up someone is a lot different, you know, to talking about diet. I don't agree with, you know, the whole diet fad and whatever, but I think that you're making a really big jump there as well.
Well, let me ask you this then. Now, because I'm just looking at the advertising point of view. I don't disagree with everything you say, and I'm not saying that just to sort of smooth any waters or anything, but I look at see incredible double standards here. You know, and I look at the television of a morning, if it's video hits or whatever, and I'll see a Guns N' Roses clip like November Rain, where they all sit around sticking cigarettes in their mouths and blowing smoke all over the place, obviously as a prop to make it look sort of all real sexy. I'll see things like there's a Don Henley clip now with a lady, is it Patti Smith or Patti Smythe, something like that, where the two of them are actually hitting each other. Yeah, and this is on in the...
I'm sorry, I don't know where your point is leading.
Well, my point is that it seems to me, from where I stand, regardless of whether I'm whether you're right or wrong or I'm right or wrong, that there seems incredible double standards imposed all the time. People are very selective, and they always choose advertising as being the be all and end all of this.
I'm sorry, but there is just so much around, like... I mean, where do we start? Where do women start?
Well,
as you're saying, you're giving us lots and lots of examples. You're right. You know, like
no, but you said what you do. The answer is re-education, but the answer isn't to ban everything that you don't like. I mean, Madonna's sex books, I'm sure there's wowsers that don't like it, and there's all sorts of people that don't like it, but they shouldn't have the right to have it banned because they don't like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, using
what you've got to do is
emotive language there by saying wowsers anyway, aren't
no,
you?
No. I'm saying there are. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about there's people who wouldn't like it only because there was a bare breast shown or there was nakedness shown or whatever. I'm not talking about an anti-feminist or feminist viewpoint. I'm talking about, you know, conservative viewpoint. But you can't ban everything you don't like. You've got to put your own view forward.
Exactly, and that's what I think that those women were doing.
hand out posters, or they go around and talk to... I mean, you don't have the right to...
They do all those things.
They don't have the right to destroy the property, that's all.
Well, I think you're wrong. I mean,
the law doesn't.
Advertising has the right to, condone that sort of violence.
But it's like someone not liking what's on the radio tonight and coming throwing a brick through the window here.
Oh, well, I was just about prepared to do that.
Okay.
Oh, look, I just think that the argument is really, I just think you take it to the nth degree, and I don't think...
No, I'm not at all.
I really don't...
Those billboards were really, really violent.
I'd really like to know...
It's not the nth degree at
well,
all.
then if they were really violent and if they were against women and all that, then the answer is for women not to buy Burley bras.
Exactly.
And then very quickly, Burley will not have anything anti-feminist again.
I would suggest that most feminists won't buy Burley bras anyway.
Okay, now, if there's a lot of women that agree with your point of view, then Burley will certainly suffer a great deal as a result of their naughtiness. If your viewpoint is a minority and a very significantly small minority, then...
What difference does that make?
It makes a huge difference.
No, it doesn't, because you were talking about freedom of speech and freedom of expression and
I'm talking about...
Now you're telling me about minorities and
I'm
how
talking
if
about
you're
democracy.
A minority, you have no rights,
No, I'm talking about democracy. No. If most women...
What are you talking about? Democracy, did you say?
Yeah, if most women don't find that offensive, right, and you say it's directed against women and violence against women, if most women don't find it offensive, then it'll have no effect on sales, and then Burley's actions were correct. If most women do find it offensive, it'll significantly affect Burley, and they'll never do it again. And that's the way to punish them for doing something what you consider wrong, is not to buy their product.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with you, and I think there should be a boycott on Burley. But
okay, well, the time will tell whether...
If 100 women were brought down in front of the Burley poster, and they were all asked to raise their hands whether they liked it or didn't, or found it offensive or not, and 99 said they didn't find it offensive, and 1 said they did find it offensive, do you think it should be allowed to remain?
No, because I do think that it's legitimate that even if you are a minority, that you can still have a viewpoint and that be respected.
Yes, you can have a viewpoint, it can be respected, but it shouldn't influence the action.
And also, you've got to take into account socialisation and the fact that, we live in a patriarchal world where women are actually brought up to believe in, things that are actually probably not very good for them to believe in. And so, it's a very complicated picture. It's not...
Okay, so you're saying now that if the other 99 women disagree with you, they're wrong?
Well,
because of the way they've been brought up or their education or whatever?
I would say that it's not healthy.
Okay, well, let's leave it there, Leanne. We've got a lot of calls to get through, and we thank you for your point of view. And I think, Ted, we still disagree as to the course of action they took?
Well, I think if 99 women say they don't find it offensive and 1 does, I don't see how it can be brought down.
Well, I think that's a hypothetical and you're just getting out of hand.
I don't, because I think in many ways, what the feminist movement, where it's failed women, is I think that it is contained within a minority, and I think it's contained a lot of minority.
I don't think you have the right to actually say anything as a man
I do have the right because you said you
movement.
had the right, and what I'm saying where the feminist movement's failing is I don't think it's helping the majority of women. I don't think it's helping the women out in the western suburbs very much. I don't think it's helping the women out in the northern suburbs very much.
I think you better get your facts straight
okay,
and go out to the western suburbs.
Well, that's why I was brought up, so I think I do know a little bit about it.
Doing things for women, violence against women and domination over women and domestic violence. There's lots of women doing heaps of work out there.
All right, can I ask you a question? Do you think that there are men who actually suffer violence from women?
I'd say rarely.
It was on Oprah. I saw that episode.
Do you think that?
And I'd say the proportion of women who suffer violence from men is astronomically high, and it just really shits me when men start talking about how aren't we suffering?
Okay, well anyway, we'll leave it there. We'll agree to disagree. I think we actually agree that violence against women is bad and things that promote it are bad.
We don't think.
We know that, but but what we're disagreeing is 2 things as to whether a poster like that does do anything to influence violence against women and whether they have the right to leave it up there. The course of action. Thank you very much, Leanne. Bye.
But we should ask people what they think of Leanne's comments too.
Okay, we'll ask Storm and Norman.
How are you, Headley?
How are you, Storman?
Is this 3AW or Triple R?
Line 4, Steve.
Yeah, Headley.
Yep.
That's your Leanne.
Sorry?
Leanne.
Yeah, the one that was on earlier.
Yeah.
Yep.
How can she say that you can be justified in vandalising property just because you believe in a certain point?
Well, that's where we disagreed with her.
Yeah, I totally disagree with that point. I mean, if they didn't like it, why don't they just take the proper measures, complain about it?
And not buy the product. That'll always get the customer...
Well, there is a complaint before the Advertising Standards Council or whatever it is, and it may well be that the complaint will be upheld and the poster will be brought down anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and as well,
Yep.
how come commercials for cars...
Got a few points here.
Yep.
Now, if I was to hate a Liberal or Labor campaign, an ad or something, would I go up and deface it?
Well, in certain parts of New South Wales you could.
Yes, that's right, mate. Now, listen, there's numerous an ad with guys showing their, you know what?
Winky dinks?
Yeah, showing their credentials.
Yeah.
Yeah. Text, mate. Yeah. Hey, listen, can I say hello to Jack and Mark?
I'll tell you what, put you on hold and you say hello to them after we come back to you, right? Line 6, Black Dog.
Got those 4 chords down, Pat.
He's playing that on the phone.
Well done.
Black Dog. I'm going to line 7. Justin.
How do, gentlemen? I've
Justin.
been climbing the walls for the last half hour.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted you to cut me in and I could start arguing with that feminist.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not an anti-feminist. I'm a feminist kind of guy, but I cannot stand humorless, radical bitches with chips on their shoulders. And they believe that just because we're a minority and we've got a loud voice, we've got a right to impose our view upon the majority.
I think was the crux of the debate.
Well, but I suppose thing about 99 women and one woman, just because she believes that she's politically correct and she wears overalls and hiking boots.
Hang on. That's a bit of a judgment there.
Okay, yeah, I know.
I think the real
generalisation.
Yeah, I think the real secret, the real test will be if any women phone up.
True.
And either agree or disagree.
Well, hang on, she was a woman, but like any other ones, you mean?
Yeah, we'll see what they thought of. Yeah, they may well agree with it. But
I mean, I agree with what she said by and large against violence against women and women being portrayed as sex objects, but don't blame advertising for that because.
Yeah, but not that particular ad too. I can't really see anyone seeing someone. It's obviously a joke. She's chainsawed in half, but how can that be a spur to violence against women?
Well, that billboard in itself isn't, but she's talking about in general.
Yeah.
Women in advertising and women in advertising done by women are portrayed as quote unquote sex objects, and I think the reason for that is society, and I hate the way it's blamed on advertising, because advertising doesn't shape society, it reflects society.
Yes,
and
also
advertisers aren't going to make something that isn't going to sell.
That's right, and also men are portrayed as sex objects now and then.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll give you a couple of examples. There's a couple of food ones. I think one's one of them in the meat and livestock campaign. The woman comes home and the guy's preparing the meal, and she's a little bit disappointed in how he's sort of handling the roast. And there's another one. Yeah. There's another one where a woman comes home and she said, "How are you going to burn that?"
Yeah.
And I think.
I remember the one where the guy's got a new corkscrew.
That's
or
right.
a new video, and she's ha ha ha, I can make the gravy really easily.
Yeah.
And you idiot, pathetic man. Now, if they'd done the reverse,
it wouldn't have got past.
His new gadget, and his missus has put lumps in the gravy and he's having shit on her, that would be howled down in the advertising agency. It'd be crucified.
Well, there's a lot of examples. I'd love to see someone, I think someone else said it, so I'm not going to claim as my own, but then, advertising, so plagiarism's fine. But, that white men can't jump, someone suggests they should be on a record, black men can't ski, and see how far that'd get on the radio.
Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Hey, I got a little goss. You were talking about Jeff Kennett.
Yeah.
I read...
2.5 minutes.
Incestuous.
Yeah, is it still live? I read enough. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And line 10, there you go again. Okay, line 5, back to middle leg.
Headley, how are you, mate?
Good, mate.
Hey, listen, can I do a bit of free advertising?
Yep.
Can I sing our school song?
Yep. What school? Ciao.
I want to take up a point with Leanne.
Yes.
Regarding what she was saying about if you sort of against certain advertisements or certain things, take out violence against them. Well, I mean, if I say you made a point about Garuda Airlines and the way I think it was the Indonesians treat the Timorese, if I feel against them, I could go and say blow up one of their planes because I disagree with the way they treat Timorese.
Well, that was the point.
What she's advocating is violence because of disagreement.
And also violence of a...
When she's she's saying there shouldn't be violence against women, she's advocating violence.
Well, she's saying violence is needed to correct the violence.
Actually, she wasn't. She was saying violence against property, not against people.
No, but she was complaining about violence. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the plane, say a plane is a piece of property.
Yeah, with no one on it, then absolutely that argument would follow through. I mean, I think that's really where the disagreement lies is, when you disagree with something, what are your rights in terms of protesting?
Well,
against it, and you can, you can make as much noise as you like. You can complain. You cannot buy the product, but I don't think you have a right to destroy the property. That's all.
Exactly. There's an old saying. If you, I'm trying to remember how it goes, but it's.
Say it in Latin. You know it in Latin.
Didn't go to Xavier.
Didn't go to Xavier. No, I was an old Catholic boy. Still trying to work my way in Braille. I may not agree with what you're saying, but I defend your death, to my death, or to your death, the right to say it.
Voltaire. Yeah. June the 15th, he said it, because I can't remember the year. Okay, thanks for that, Jar.
That's all right.
Okay, and line 2, Jane.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Jane.
I just want to reply to Leanne.
Yep.
I think she sort of has a problem with listening to other people's opinions. Like, she kept cutting everyone off. And I just like to say that, I mean, the world's not going to fall apart. It's just an ad.
Well, that's, I think, is the point. As we were saying, if you're predisposed to violence against women, the billboard's not going to have any effect. And if you're not predisposed to violence against women, the billboard's not going to have an effect. I don't think there's one person in society that would become violent against women as a result of the billboard. Where are you calling from, Jane?
I'm down at Druin.
Where?
Druin.
Gippsland.
Gippsland.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Fair dinks.
Can I just say something about that? I think that the point that I agree with is that it is just...
what's the advertising gent's name in there?
Ted Horton.
Ted.
Yep.
Third most creative man in 1992, according to Campaign Brief magazine. Who pipped you at the post?
My old partner.
Who?
Chris Dewey.
He pipped you, did he?
Absolutely, and he deserved to.
What did he do? Which
Yellow Pages.
Which one? The Goggomobile?
Yeah.
And who came second?
I don't know. It's just that Chris phoned me up and said, I beat you.
That'd be the way, wouldn't it?
And I saw under the Republic, that you were one of the agencies of the year, and it said awards, and you said Republic don't enter awards.
We don't enter awards.
Why?
We don't certainly need to. It's not what we're in business for.
Right. And yet you sat as a judge on a certain awards.
I sat because they pressured me into that over about 3 years.
The
and I
dirty
said, no.
photos again. Get anything you want.
The Eros Foundation in Canberra.
Okay.
And when I say no, Peter, I thought, I'll go and have a look, see how it goes again, see you vote. But it really, this country, when it comes to that, no. What I like about America, people celebrate people who do well.
Yeah.
But here, they really want to chop you down. I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about lots of people, lots of pressure groups.
Yeah.
If you enter those things, that's a business. And if you want your agency to be perceived as the most creative agency in the country, a lot of people find it very difficult to vote for other agencies' ads, even if they are better.
Right.
So it is a tad political.
Okay.
Sorry, anyway.
Go ahead,
Mega.
Nico.
Anyway, just quickly before we get on to the main thing, favourite series of ads over many a year, the Captain Snooze ads with Rod Quantock, and why that man hasn't got his own show, I'll never know.
He's wild.
Yeah.
And worst ad, the banana boat suntan lotion ad.
Where the woman reaches for his banana.
Just the crappy sexual innuendos were pathetic.
Yeah. That's Captain Snooze is done by FCB Thomson White, who are actually responsible for the ads for the gas company.
Oh, the Royal
that
kerfuffle?
Mr. Kennett's taken off.
Yeah.
And the banana ad is Killian Withy and Adelaide.
And about the Leanne
Yes.
ring up before, I know everyone's been on about this, but just a few points. First thing, those the art students who did it, I think they were doing it more for their own personal, hey, let's get our face into the paper than anything else. Secondly, I think they had dozens of avenues to take the complaint against it without resorting to graffitiing the thing. I mean, they've got people to write to, people to complain to.
Well, they certainly got the publicity they were after. Also, I like in The Sun the way that one of the four women, her article is headed, "Now it's me who feels great." So it's like it was done for personal pleasure more than anything else.
Without taking, so I'll just quote from it as Jacqueline Milner, one of the ladies who was involved in it, and she wrote, "I would argue any magistrate would do it. Second, our actions were neither vandalistic nor malicious, but carefully focused. And finally, our intent in taking action was not to incite attacks on private property, but rather to incite debate." So I suppose they've incited debate.
Sure have.
And
yep.
Another thing was, I think, like the female big caller before, Jane, it's good to see that some people have a bit of a sense of humour. There was a letter to The Sun the other week about that Katie's ad.
Yeah.
She wrote in, why can't these people lighten up and have a bit of a sense of humour? The thing that nobody seems to realise is the woman wasn't cut in half in the ad for just some random reason, hey, let's show a mutilated woman. She was supposed to be a magician's assistant, for God's sake. I mean, can't these... Like, it's just, just a bit of a witticism on the fact,
That's
of
exactly
a traditional act, I mean, the old, what's a magician's most famous trick, apart from pulling a dove out of a hat, is cutting his assistant in half.
Yep.
I think the thing about whether it's a good ad or a bad ad, whether you think it's the worst, lousiest pun of all time, I don't think that's... I hear what you're saying, but ultimately it's just a question of whether the majority of women would see that as being sexist and provoking violence against women.
Or just a minority. Well, we'll find out when we talk to the gorgeous one. Thanks for that, Mecca.
Yep, and just finally, just like to say, Dyke, suck my spike.
Okay, line 4, gorgeous one.
Hello, beautiful.
How are you?
Oh, look, I want to tell Ted there are two luscious women down here. We can do anything he wants us to do.
You've obviously never seen me.
Haven't I? Oh, it doesn't matter, darling. We're good. That's all that matters.
Would you use the gorgeous one in an ad?
Well, that sounds like it.
Yeah.
I think of a 0055 voiceover they could do.
You've heard me.
How you been, gorgeous one?
Excellent, darling. Excellent.
What do you think about the billboard?
It doesn't fuss me.
Doesn't fuss you?
Not at all. But I tell you what, like that guy rang up with the, the pad ones. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hairy legs too. Yeah.
Margaret, you don't agree with Leanne either?
Of course I do.
You do?
I mean, what... Have you seen magicians?
Have I seen magicians?
Magicians. What do their assistants normally wear? Is it underwear on their outside?
It certainly is. It is. It's underwear.
No, they generally wear...
It's a little tunic thing. It's not bra and panties.
Yeah. Oh, it is bra and panties.
No.
It's not bra and panties. It's like Las Vegas showgirl sort of,
Yeah, but they generally have sort of something with glitter on it.
It's not everyday underwear.
No, it's underwear with tassels and
it's not
beads
everyday
and
underwear.
stuff.
That's the point.
It's special. It's Sunday underwear.
Like a one-piece bathing suit with lots of sequins.
Anyway, that ad does lie.
Yes. Yeah.
Because have you ever worn a bra? They're very uncomfortable.
But I think what Burley's trying to say that theirs are more comfortable than the regular.
Or maybe there lies the grounds for complaint because maybe they're not more comfortable.
Well, then there is a serious complaint, but still no reason for defecation of the.
Well, hang on a second. You've got to remember what the ad was saying. It says even when you're being mutilated.
No, that's what they wrote.
That's what they wrote
on it.
Yeah, but that's just so you're changing the whole situation of what they're talking about.
What's your favourite bra?
Oh, I don't wear one.
You don't wear a bra?
I'm one of those hairy-legged lesbians too, like Leanne.
No, honestly, what did you think about what Leanne had to say?
A bit over the top, but very, very interesting.
Interesting. Okay, Margaret, what have you been up to since you've left power? You're lady, no, what are you? You're not Lord
Baroness.
Thatcher. Baroness Thatcher.
I've been helping a young man. He's just got a promotion. I'll tell you his initials, JK.
JK?
JK.
JK?
Mr. Jeff.
Oh, Jeff Kennett.
I've been
Right.
helping him with his
Trickle down.
reorganisation.
Yeah.
I've got the axe out.
You got the axe out?
You went over the Grey sisters or the Sisters of Grey, what was that one, that
Well, they're just
home
a
over in
bunch of-
Croydon?
They're
What
just
happened
a
there?
bunch of lesbians.
What happened there?
That home that looked after women and their families who'd been kicked out of home or maybe suffering violence at home.
And what happened? Got closed down?
Well, they stopped the state funding, and the whole fund, I think they've been running for 40-odd years or something rather, and the funding, I think that they were getting from the government only amounted to $45,000. A very interesting editorial in today's age about it.
Sunday age?
No, the Saturday age.
Yeah.
Henry, we have to eliminate poor people.
Well, that's Margaret.
Eliminate poverty.
That's been your theory for how many years were you in power? 10 years, Margaret.
It feels like 100.
It feels like 100, especially to those that you left behind. Okay, thanks for that.
Thank you, Henry.
And we'll go to line 6, Melanie.
Hello.
Melanie.
I'm just ringing up about this feminist and non-feminist discussion that you're having.
Yes.
First of all, I'd like to say that feminism is not a single view, and that there is not such a thing as a feminist view and a non-feminist view.
Right.
That feminism has a lot of different views.
But
within
I think certain people within the feminist movement have hijacked the movement and expressed the views of their own views as the views of all feminists.
I think they're expressing their views as women, and that they have a right to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
The other thing was that you were saying that let everyone do their thing as long as it doesn't interfere with anyone else. And what these women are obviously saying is that those images of women do interfere with them as women, and it affects their lives.
Well, that's where I disagree. I can't see how it can affect their life. How do you have the right to say that it does or doesn't affect their life? They can say it can upset them, or they can be offended by it, or they can not like it. But that doesn't give them the right to destroy it. And by affect their life, I mean causing violence to be done upon them. I'm talking about physical effect. If they can't take it emotionally, what that billboard does, then in our free society that leaves things basically uncensored, then it's, they've got the right to protest against it.
And that's what they were doing.
But no, they vandalised it. That's the difference.
But graffiti happens everywhere.
And it's illegal everywhere.
I think it's interesting that it's just...
but it's illegal
a group
everywhere.
Of women are being hounded by you on this show because they actually have the guts to get up and say...
No, I don't think... No, they're not being hounded at all. We're just saying we're just talking about that the fact that they vandalised it, and the question is whether they have the right to destroy that piece of property.
Yeah, but I think you're trivialising the matter in that
I don't think
a
it's
point.
Yes, but
vandalism happens all over the place,
and it's illegal all over the place.
Do you think that the court? This is the question. Do you think that if someone goes and vandalises a poster site or whatever, any sort of property, that whether their cause is just or not, whether or not they should be allowed to do that, and a court would turn around and say, well, no, the real perpetrator of violence or whatever it is, the real act of violence was perpetrated by the advertiser?
Well, I think it's quite clear that if a man had have been judging this situation, that it would have turned out quite differently.
And if anyone else would have been the defendant, it would have also turned out quite differently.
I think that's a very interesting point, because that is just as an enormous assumption as what you're accusing perhaps us of.
But it would have been completely dismissed.
Well, how can you say that? how can you honestly? How can you say that?
I'm pretty sure that would be the situation. And now, I mean, if you look at your show tonight, you've been talking over the top of women. Leanne was told that she was being rude by Jane, and in fact, Leanne found it very difficult to speak because there was the two men there blasting over the top of her, saying no, 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 no.
I think Leanne got a very good go.
Out of 8 people that have rung up tonight, women have been called Sheilas, girls,
Birds.
feminist,
Someone said
humorless
birds.
bitches,
Oh,
birds,
yeah, let me just say
females.
something about, even though I'm coming over you, I said to Headley after the first lot, I said, let's make sure we get some female callers, and so, and unfortunately the 4 came up. No one here has called them Sheilas, feminists, or bitches, or anything like that.
There was no attempt to address that either.
Of course, wait a second. Yes, there was.
There
One
was
was
an attempt to address a situation where you were stereotyping women in boots. That's all. There was nothing to address the issue that we're not Sheilas and we're not birds and we're not
Hang on, I came to
humorless bitches.
Oh, hang on, I corrected somebody for saying that.
No, but they've got no right to correct them. What in this society, anyone has the right to call them.
No, this is my society, and I have a right to say what I want the society to be.
Exactly.
And I'm saying it.
Exactly.
And that's what those women were doing. They're saying it. They were
hang on. They weren't saying it.
In raising the awareness of issues in advertising.
No, it's a big difference
between images of women either as whores or as mothers.
No, firstly, you were saying they got the right to say it, absolutely, but they haven't got a right to vandalise it. Secondly, as they have the right to say whatever they want, and you have the right to say whatever you want, then previous callers have the right to call women birds and Sheilas and whatever else they like, because it's a free society. Now, they might be wrong, and you have the right to object to it.
But I'm not advocating for a completely free society, perhaps. What I'm advocating is that we respect people.
Okay, now...
And we respect them by being mindful of the things that denigrate them and degrade them.
But would you ban them from saying what they want?
What?
Would you ban them from saying what they want? Would you make it illegal for people to call someone a bird or a Sheila? Would you put them in jail for it?
Well, I think if they're using their language in a way that degrades people...
Yes, let's say they're using it in a degrading way. Would you ban them? Would you put them in jail for it? Would you ban free speech?
Well, I think we as a society need to address that.
Address it, yes, absolutely.
That is right. And are we treating people respectfully when we're doing that?
Okay, let's say it's totally disrespectful. Would you ban it? Would you censor it?
From doing that? Well, I think that's a bad thing. I think that sort of reflects an unhealthy society.
Shocking, unhealthy and terrible. Would you ban it? Would you censor it? Would you stop free expression because you disagree with it?
I think there's a line there, and I think that line has been debated for a very long time.
Okay, would you ban it?
I don't think that when you turn on the radio that it's a healthy situation for a woman to hear herself being called a humorless bitch or a Sheila or a girl.
True.
Or
shockingly
whatever.
unhealthy.
To be told that menstruation puts people off their food.
Terrible.
And that sort of a situation. I don't want to have to live with that.
That is terrible. Would you ban it?
I'm not advocating banning things. What I'm saying is that we as a society need to look at the language that we're using, how we do it, the images that we're portraying, and what we do about that.
Okay.
And whether someone suggests that we ban it or not, I don't think that the debate is open enough to discuss that at this point. But what I'm saying is that you didn't address this. It's coming back. Basically, the whole hoo-ha is that women have actually been heard. They're actually saying something.
Okay, no, heard is fine. I mean, we're giving you now an opportunity to put forward your point of view, right? This is what it's all about. You putting forward your point of view, previous callers putting forward their point of view, just as we wouldn't want to ban you from saying something, we wouldn't want to ban them from saying something.
Yeah, but I'm not degrading them by the speech that I'm using.
How do you know that? You are. You were castigating them for calling women bad names, so you were degrading them.
One of them was even proclaiming to be a feminist.
So, it's his opinion. He's allowed to say what he wants. It's a free society. Now,
but it's not a free society in real terms. I mean, the reality of the situation is not that it's a free society.
No, it's a society of free expression.
Not a democratic society, and women have been left out of the decision-making for a very long time.
Okay, no, but it's a society of free expression. Now, just as you wouldn't want your freedom of expression to be impinged upon, you can't want other people's freedom of expression to be impinged upon. Now, we don't deny the 4 women their right of expression on exactly the point of views that they put forward. But
I think it needs to be celebrated. I think it's a real success for women, personally.
Okay, well, I mean, now we're allowing you to put forward that point of view, and we would never dream of censoring.
Very kind of you.
Thank you, because we don't believe in censoring freedom of expression. Now, there's going to be people out there that agree with you entirely, and people out there that disagree with you entirely. But at the same time, we don't want to stop you from the right to say it. Now, just as we don't want the 4 women to impinge their right to complain, we don't believe they should impinge the right of Burley to put up whatever poster they want. If people don't like it, or the majority of women disagree with it, they won't buy the product.
No, but that's what these women are saying. These women are saying, we're sick of these images.
No, they
women.
didn't say it. They didn't say it. They vandalised it. They didn't say it. That's the point.
They used
Can I ask you a question? Our actions were neither vandalistic nor malicious, but carefully focused. Do you think that's correct? And I'm not trying to put you in a tricky situation. I'm not going to come back with another question.
I think it's correct. I'm not actually. I haven't read any of the articles about.
Oh, no, this is what the lady, one of the ladies who said who actually vandalised the poster. She said, in her own words, it's her article in this morning's Herald Sun, or Friday, sorry. Our actions were neither vandalistic nor malicious, but carefully focused. Our intent in taking action was not to incite attacks on private property, but rather to incite debate. Now, you could say to incite debate, but do you think people have the right to go and do that to other people's property?
I think that
there is a right of recourse to advertising.
I think that a lot of issues have been highlighted by that sort of action.
Okay, before you said
there is a place,
before you were upset about
for people to make comment on things that are put up around them.
Yeah, make comment, fine. Now, you were complaining before about the people complaining about the feminine hygiene ads. Would you have them banned from TV?
Would I have the feminine hygiene ads banned from television?
Yep.
I'd like to think that women can be proud to menstruate, and for it not to be something that puts a man off his food.
Okay, do you think they should be
comfortable?
Yeah, so you don't think they should be banned from TV?
Well,
you do
I don't
or you
watch
don't?
commercial television.
Okay,
so.
but no, I'm asking you if they should be banned from TV, censored, banned from TV. Should they or shouldn't they?
I don't know. I think they should be free. I know that.
Okay, well, there's women complaining about it, elderly women complaining about it because it puts them off, or they're upset about it. Now, they have the right to express that opinion, but at the same time, they shouldn't.
Reflecting society's sort of.
They're not reflecting anything. They're reflecting a minority viewpoint. They're not reflecting
menstruation.
Okay. Anyway.
No, you obviously don't menstruate, but I mean, if you were to walk down the street and you had blood dripping down your legs, that would be a very shameful thing for you. And women live with that fear every month.
Okay.
You know, and it's all very important that they have these blue blood on pads that are shown in the ads. Like, I'm talking about the concept of the ad.
Okay.
And the way
can I just make a point?
Things.
I think that a lot of women would say that men really don't, probably Headley and myself this evening, that we wouldn't understand how women are thinking and how they perceive a lot of these issues.
Yeah. They probably would.
I'd suggest to you that a lot of men would say that women actually don't understand how they perceive those issues as well. Like I would suggest, just.
I think we're very confused. Both genders.
And I really think, just my own point, I used to do woodwork. I think our kids aren't going to have this problem. And you said our kids won't have this problem.
Like you have problems from when you were born too.
Yeah.
So,
you said that now it's great because women are being heard. Anyone who's lived through the last 20 years in this country or any Western society must surely agree that women are being heard because the changes have been fairly dramatic.
Look, for half of the population, I really don't think that we can say that it's been dramatic enough.
Oh no, but no one's. I don't think any man that I know thinks that it's going to stop and that changes aren't going to continue and this is going to evolve further. I don't know of any man that thinks that that's the end of. This is the end of it. That's
All right, Melody, we have to leave it there. Basically, we'll agree to disagree again. I think once again we're just disagreeing about what action they have a right to take to express the point of view. We're not disagreeing that they have a right to have that point of view. It's just have they got the right to destroy property as a result of being shut off by it. That's the only...
I also think that, sorry, I just think that you're trivialising that too in destruction of property. I mean, look at what we as the Western world are doing to Iraq and the destruction that we're doing there, and that's mainly controlled by men. And here, I just think it's really interesting, the concept that these four women can create such an outcry from the community because of what they've done, and I think it's very clear to me, as a woman, why that's happening.
I think the outcry isn't what they did. The outcry is as a result of them not getting off on what the judge said. The judge basically said...
I think it's wonderful.
Well, the judge
I'm going to celebrate.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks, Wilma.
Right.
We'll go to line 7, and it's Richard.
Hello, Hedley.
Good.
You just confirmed what I've always thought about the feminist movement, and that's that how long have you had Rave back on for? About an hour and 15 minutes?
Yep.
And I don't think there'd be any person who disagrees that women have had about an hour saying the whole thing. And they've got the argument heavily weighted on their side, and they refuse to let men come into it. But I don't think there's anything basically wrong with graffiti. In fact, years ago I was guilty of putting 3RRR posters up on things like that.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's perfectly legal.
No, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's basically getting free advertising in a society that's controlled by multi-millionaire.
Yeah, no, that's slightly different. You're putting a poster where there was nothing beforehand, or graffiti where there's nothing beforehand.
Oh, well, you could say it's destruction of property.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want. I mean, we have to...
It's not destruction of property because, graffiti's proved over the years that it's won wars.
It's beautification of property.
But I don't think it is vandalism because it's sort of the start of a movement, if you like, and that's without resources, it's the only avenue they've got to start things. But
I think your point's really interesting. Is the point I find is that you find a lot of women don't allow men into the debate.
They don't. They seem to have a hold, and so they should too. But there has to be a time when it's the same with childbirth. I mean, I continually have fights with my wife over what my role should be in childbirth and that. And it seems to me that the argument sort of focuses on women, and men aren't allowed to come into that debate as though I've got no part of it or anything. The one thing that sort of confirmed my theory is that if you come back, these women are obviously, the difference between feminism is the same within the Labor Party. There's complete splits in it. And that's that, you've got Marxist feminists and you've got sort of less radical, and then you've got the right-wing Country Women's Association, which are all basically women's groups, but they're all on different levels. And whereas it's okay for one to sort of deface property like that, if you turn the argument to pornography, some feminists say that pornography is okay, it's a women's choice, and yet some say it's disgusting. So I don't know where you draw the line at that.
Well, you don't need to draw the line because, as I keep trying to say, in a free society with freedom of expression, everyone's got the right to express their point of view. And once the majority agree with that point of view, then hopefully in a democracy that view will become the status quo.
Yeah, there's a commercial, I haven't seen it, but I read it in one of the papers the other day. Apparently it's a contraceptive commercial that says No, it's a pregnancy testing kit, that's right. And that's the punchline at the bottom says it's so simple even a man could do it. Now, I mean, I'm sort of pissed off at that, they're showing me up as being ignorant. And yet I've got no recourse to go out and sort of stop that.
Well, you have, really. You can go and complain to the Advertising Council.
Advertising Standards Council.
Yeah, but there's no sort of... women just sort of pass it off as a fob in the dark when it's, really sort of underpinning men's...
Yeah, but that's what we've been talking about the whole night. It's been talking about double standards and that sort of thing.
So I think the biggest, if I was looking at where I'd like to... I ask, why do all news stations, when they have female readers, they just happen by chance to be rather attractive young ladies that happen to fit into anything from a size 8 to a size 10?
However, to make a comment, to be fair, most of the blokes though are pretty sort of that type of.
Yeah, well, they're all stereotyped, and men suffer from it as much.
But women seem to be getting a lot more. The weight's heavily on their side now. I was reading just recently in the ABC, all senior management positions acting or other just acting have to be filled by women as a priority over men, irrespective of whether a guy is sort of senior to that or...
Isn't that against the sex discrimination
Well,
laws?
apparently there's exceptions, and they're allowed to do it. And they're not saying that they will get the job, but they could be acting in that role for 12 months or something. So, do you still work for the ABC, Hedley?
No.
You don't? No. Well, apparently that's the way it's going. You know, all women have to be placed in acting roles, senior supervisory roles, before men, unless there's no alternative available. And that's just complete discrimination. And yet there is a clause to allow them out within the Equal Opportunity Board.
Do you work for the ABC?
No, not now.
Perhaps the point is that I still get back to the point about men not being allowed in the argument. Like sometimes you sit down and try and have a reasoned debate, perhaps not at the Leanne level. If she holds that view's fine, but just to sit down, and one tends to be thought of as being ignorant all the time, and yet at the same time, I think a lot of guys are just trying to explain how they feel about it, because I think the ignorance is just as evident on the female side, because I say, that's all you men think like that, but the truth is, I believe most men don't think like that.
Well, that's right. I've been to a few feminist meetings now, and you really feel like an outsider trying to get an argument. You're always, even the best thinking feminists will always say, well, he's just a man, his point doesn't really stand. That's the way I look at it. I don't know how...
Well, see, the other point about it, and this is the point I want to get, like I started off earlier, I know it seems to be specific, it's as if it's a male orchestrated thing, and what I'm suggesting to people who actually hold these strong feminist beliefs is it's not, it's male and female, that really, I know the topic was advertising, that advertising, people still view advertising, they're still rather cynical about it. And the real perpetrators of these images are the Cleos, Dollys, Cosmos, Els, Glamour, New Idea, Woman's Days, etc., even Vogue, and all of them, without exception, are put together, edited, written, art directed, put together by women.
The one thing I'd say about the Pat O'Shea's version of the events in Sydney is that I would have thought it would have been a civil matter anyway for Burleigh to have taken up to recover costs. I can't see why it actually got to a criminal stage.
Because
anyway.
It's a criminal offence to vandalise property.
No, I don't know whether it is. It is against the state if it's state-owned property, but I don't believe it is if it's private.
No, hang on. It's private property and it's owned by someone. Yes, you can.
No, it's a criminal offence.
It is.
It's a definite criminal offence.
It'll come up against the magistrate.
Well, I would have thought that the case was still open for Burleigh to in fact take civil action.
They could, if they chose to.
I would have thought that would have been a more moderate view for them to have taken.
Well, there's 4 students, so they probably don't have a cracker between them.
Oh, well, that doesn't worry these companies. I mean, they just have to be seen to be doing the right thing.
But if they did that would be very adverse publicity for them, wouldn't it?
Well, it wouldn't have got to where it is now.
Yes, it would have gotten
worse.
See, I'd like to see the feminist movement, the sections of the feminist movement who feel this strongly about it, actually take on all... And I don't think I'd have any trouble if they took on all areas that perpetuated these images. But it seems to me that the only, from my perspective, and probably those feminists would say I'm wrong, is it seems to me that every one of these acts is actually perpetuated by men, when women are just as guilty of it through publications.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying before, that if you go in all areas, if you look at the main one, pornography, well, there's a lot of feminists out there, Marxist feminists especially, that say that it's a woman's right to work as a sex worker or whatever, and to be in pornographic films. And they've got no problem with women doing that now. And then you get the other, like I have this trouble with my mother and sister, and they've got different views on the whole thing too, and neither of them can agree on what's right. And that seems to be the problem with the feminist movement. There's so many breakaway groups that they can't seem to get their act right until they get some sort of unity. Yeah, I mean, you've only got to, like trivialising this, I suppose. Germaine Greer's changed her stance in the last 20 years, and now she's probably the least respected feminist in the world. So until they get their act together and say what's wrong and what's right, nothing's going to be accomplished for them.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Richard. Can we call you Dick?
Yeah, hey, listen, Hedley.
Yeah?
John Yost got the arse.
His show got the arse.
Yeah, was that for having a right-wing lunatic like Neil Mitchell on?
No, I think he got the arse before Neil Mitchell was on.
I think the ratings didn't...
It's not him, it's the show. I think he'll be back at Channel 9. He'll be doing something.
I think it would have been Neil Mitchell more than anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Richard. Line 9, Phil.
G'day.
G'day.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah, I'm just calling up because I personally think I'm not against feminism or whatever, but I sort of think that the whole point of of what you're discussing is that advertising is, well, my opinion is advertising is to promote to make people aware of products. Now, whether billboards get vandalised or whatever is beside the point, because the people who make the bras are probably laughing because look at all the free publicity they've got over it.
Yeah,
And,
well, that's if a number of people, or the number of people that agree with those for women, and the number of people that disagree with them. If enough women agree with them, then Burley will suffer in sales.
However, this could have been very carefully orchestrated by Burley.
Yeah, that could be on the employee of Burley.
I doubt it.
How would you feel if you were the advertising manager of Burley? Would you be happy with this situation or not?
No, not particularly.
No?
I don't think I'd be particularly happy.
Not the
Sure,
sort of
they get a lot of
publicity-
PR. No, it's not the sort of publicity you want associated with your brand.
Right.
You know.
Okay, Phil, anything else?
yeah, well, I mean, I also sort of think regarding you're talking about the feminists. They're sort of saying that women aren't, it promotes violence and that. And I also think that sort of how would I put it?
Put it quickly.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to put it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But I mean, also I think that there's also sexist advertisements towards men. Like there's pictures up, with half-naked men over it, and I think it's about time that a group went and vandalised one of those, complaining to the company who puts those.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if that went to court.
Yeah, we've been talking about double standards all night, though. Really.
The question really is there. The question you've got to ask is whether men look at all of that and go, well, it's just a joke and don't worry about it, or whether or not that's exactly how they see themselves.
I honestly...
So if maybe men don't, most men like to see them, imagine themselves like that, so they don't worry about it, or they just laugh at it.
Oh, no, I think women, I agree with that, and I think women sort of think the same about the posters. They like to see themselves as the women in the posters.
Well, so I'll tell you something about advertising really quickly. A lot of people complain about it, and they say, oh, it's bull dust here and lies here. You actually ask people to write ads for when they're selling their home or they're selling a car, and you read what they write about it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they start to, let's say, embellish the truth a little bit,
Okay, well, thanks for that, Phil. We've got to go. Last call up, Peter.
Oh, g'day. I wanted to picture something here.
Yes.
6 women all wearing bras and undies.
Yes.
They're all over 70 kilograms. They've got rolls of fat.
Yeah.
If they put that up on a billboard, would it sell?
No.
No, it wouldn't. So these women ringing up saying, oh, it's not fair, they're using size 8 people and all this. It's because that's what society wants. It's not because...
It's the ideal they're putting
Well, I'll tell
forward.
you what, I suppose at the end of the day, most people really don't care about advertising, all that sort of junk, and you only got to go down Chapel Street tonight and look at all the people lining up for chases or something like that to see how many people buy the, wannabe 8s. So, look, it's a big thing. I can hear the music starting, but I'd just like to say it's not the men of the world aren't against women in this instance. Not, we're just trying to actually have a bit of a chit-chat. But I don't think I've done very well tonight.
Debate tonight, haven't we?
Okay, and I see now that the big hand is really rearing towards the 12 at a rapid rate.
Actually, that clock's slow, Headley.
Is it?
Yes.
Big hand is now facing the 2 at this stage.
Just one last interesting little thing about Headley Gritter. I am led to believe that Headley was responsible for the Ken Bruce Has Gone Completely Mad ads in the 90s. Now, I'm guessing the vast majority of you have no idea what I'm talking about, so just sit back and watch this.
Gone mad. Ken Bruce has gone mad. Ken Bruce has gone mad. Ken Bruce has gone mad.
Ken Bruce has gone completely mad! Demos and factory seconds at less than half new prices. Now his half-brother Bert is running the business, and he's a complete idiot! Now his twin sister Madonna is running the show, and you thought the prices were cheap, so come in quick while his twin sister Madonna is running the show. Now his second cousin Eric's run the store, and he thinks he's a Viking! His twin sister Madonna's just back from Bali, and she's hot for action! Now his twin sister presents In Bedding with Madonna! Double mattresses and bases from $1.99. This fridge is from $1.99. Washers from $1.99. Madonna, baby, what are you doing? Now his twin sister Madonna's been busted for table dancing, and cousin Bert's running the store. So come on down to Ken Bruce for the pay the bail to get her out of jail sale. Now his twin sister Madonna's heavy with child, and we're not sure who's the daddy. Now the beautiful bun-laden Madonna's getting married, and the bargains are as gorgeous as her beloved. So come on down to Ken Bruce, quick, 'cause them waters are a-breaking. Now Madonna's baby Brucey's here, with a huge scoop purchase of Westinghouse appliances. So come on down to Ken Bruce, but hurry, 'cause little Brucey's getting windy too. Now his twin sister Madonna's joined the Gladiators, and she's smashing down those prices. So come on down to Ken Bruce, Mitchum, Paran, Coburg, Dandenong for the sale that'll stop the traffic. Now Hamish McBruce is here, with fridges coming out of his monster loch. It's scratch and dent sale time! So come on down to Ken Bruce for the scratch and dent clearance sale. Now his twin sister Madonna has joined the Bolshoi Ballet, and she's having a real nutcracker of a sale, 'cause a bargain in the hand is worth tutu in the bush. Now his twin sister Madonna, her husband, formerly known as Ponce, and little baby Brucey are having a huge factory second son. Our cousin Milton and his village idiots are running the store, and everything's going CHEP, cheap! So give us an F for fridges, and a W for washers, and a D for dryers, and an A for bedding. And what does it spell? Nothing! Now his twin sister Madonna's off to Hawaii, so everything brand new has to be cleared. It's sale time at the Ken Bruce Corral, so come on down to Ken Bruce. Yee-haw! Now Long John Bruce is running the store, and boy is he's Roger Jolly! Now his twin sister Madonna is dancing with Los Nachos, and she's got them by the maracas! El Cheapo! So come on down to Ken Bruce! Oh, mate! Now his twin sister Madonna has joined the Price Girls, and it's all slash and dash for Ken! Ken Bruce, not pricey, not spicy, just cheap! It's bedding bedlam time! So jump into bed with Ken Bruce! Now Madonna Warrior Princess is having her brand new sale, and she's just jumping for joy! Come on down to Ken Bruce! No worries, Princess! Now the Count de la Bruce is running the store, so everything's made cheap! Come on down to Ken Bruce! Wee! Our cousin Gina's running the store, so you can kiss our low prices! Our cousin Flacino's running the store, so grab hold of these Rigolettos! So don't be a goose! Rent from Ken Bruce!
Good night, line 10, our second last call for the night, because we'll go to one at random after this. Cuckoo. We'll put you on hold for 1 minute. Don't go away, and we'll go to our final call. We'll make it line 1, and it is line 3.
What?
Hello, you're on the air.
A couple of corrections for tonight's show.
Yes.
Pearl Jam are not on Lollapalooza this year. You're getting them confused with Alice in Chains.
Yes, we knew that, but there was rumours of a Lollapalooza tour with them coming.
Hang on a second.
But you are correct.
And back to line 3, yes?
Ozzy Osbourne is currently touring the United States as the lead singer for Black Sabbath, with an album probably due out maybe early next year or late this year.
Love that information.
The weather started getting rough.
the tiny ship was tossed. If not for the courage of the fearless crew, the Miller would be lost.
And finally, he's gone.
He hasn't gone. It was all that Aussie information. Perfect.
And I can see the big hand past the 11 on its way to the 12. And the little hand is already facing the 2.
I had to kill that. I'm sorry.
That was the kill button.
I'm sorry. I had to kill that.
And at this stage of the night, let me first thank